אוקיי, טוב, בחיר והמגיב. בוקר טוב. ויהי בשלח פרעה את העם ולא נחם אלוהים דרך את פלישתים כי קרוב הוא. So the first one will be for your sake as well. It says that when Paro sent the nation and Hashem didn't lead the Jews straight to through Eretz Pelishtim. I'm not sure where Eretz Pelishtim is. Probably southern Israel. There was Pelishtim and Mitzrayim. If we assume Egypt is where Mitzrayim was, I'm not sure if that's also 100%. We don't know exactly where Jews were. Mitzrayim, is it Egypt, what we call Egypt now? Or maybe it was a little bit to the left, to the right. But Hashem didn't send the Jews straight to Israel. Because Hashem said, maybe Jews see some sort of war, and they will want to come back to Egypt. So Hashem said, not going straight. So what we're going to do? We're going to go through a little bit north, go Yam Suf, go to Har Sinai, and from Har Sinai go to Israel. So it was a detour. Was not a straightforward. Was a straight walking to Israel. So there are certain questions on this first pasuk. One is that why did the Torah say Beshalach Paro et ha'am? Paro sent Jews out. Come on, Paro is doing nothing now. It's completely destroyed. Hashem is sending Jews out. In the end, we say that Paro is sending the Jews out. That's number one question. Number two, it says Vayhi. Vayhi is not a very good word. Whenever it says Vayhi, it means there's some sort of tzara, pain. Something bad is happening here. Also bad happening here. Vayhi, and it was, right? It was something bad. And then it says because it was very close. Jews will figure out the way back anyways. If someone wants to run back, we'll run back. We'll run out. And people did leave, the camp, the Jewish population at the time, even the country. People wanted to go earlier to Israel, wanted to go out of Israel, without permission. And the other question is, it says because they might see a war. Hashem, you could do something that the war doesn't come. Hashem could, detect the war. Hashem could, prevent the war. What should even be an assumption? There might be a war. Maybe for the first 40, 50 years, there should be no war. So why Hashem is already assuming that Jews will come back when there is a war? So keep that question in mind. I saw a beautiful idea from Rav David Feinstein in his commentaries on the Parsha. So, and this is Parsha is one of the most interesting Parsha that, by the way, there's a lot of good topics in this Parsha. We have, the miraculous cloud of Hashem moving around to protect. It's like Iron Dome. Iron Dome. How it detects the missiles. Hashem says, "I will do the Iron Dome. I will stand between Jews and Egyptians to whatever they throw at you should come to me. I detect, I prevent, I will safeguard you." That's a very big miracle. Then obviously you have one of the biggest miracle probably, the Kriyat Yam Suf. Hashem opened the ocean, the sea, right? And Jews walked on a dry land, Bayabasha. It was dry. How can you, Hashem even made like a red carpet, middle of the ocean. That's a very big miracle. Even if you split open the water, what are you going to do with the mud? Hashem made a miracle. They walked on a dry land in the ocean. So, and then after Jews come out, it says that they didn't have water. So the first problem was water. We're going to with water. So Hashem had to make different miracles to bring water out for Jews. One was there was a bitter water. So Hashem, said to Moshe, a certain stick, piece of tree, put it in the water, everything would be sweet, would be regular. He did it. He went somewhere else. They found other types of, mayenot, enot mayim, wells of water. Probably one of the, water and bread were the most miraculous necessities that Hashem brought for us for 40 years. So then Jews asked for lechem, bread. Hashem gave bread again. Man, this is Parsha. Man was a very big miracle. In the end, Torah says, again, Jews wanted water. So Hashem showed a rock, a tzur, and Moshe hit the rock. Actually, this time Hashem asked him to hit. Didn't say speak to the rock. He said hit the rock. Later on, end of Torah, Hashem asked to speak. This time is hitting. Some say that's why Moshe mixed up. The other time said, no, last time you told me to hit, I hit again. But no, this time Hashem wanted Moshe to speak. But this rock Hashem kept for 40 years. That rock would travel with Jews like a water fountain. Anyway, the Jews went throughout the desert for 40 years. Jews used that rock to get water. And again, we have Milchamat Amalek. Even though Hashem was showing so much power, strength, there are always stupid people who want to go against the superpowers. Like, see in the war nowadays too. U.S. could build up a whole military, and then someone wants to fight. A small group, though, you're going to fight. What are you going to fight? So Amalek decided to fight Jews, and Yehoshua was in charge of killing most of the Amalekis at the time. And Hashem said, Amalek is the worst enemy of me. As long as Amalek is around, I'm not complete. My kingdom, this is a kiseh. My kingdom, my chair is not complete. So you see a lot of miracles in this parasha. Unlike other parashas, we don't see some. Maybe Parshat Va'era and Bo also we saw a lot of miracles, but this is like a full, packed with miracles. This is parasha. Right? Why Hashem has to bring so many miracles? Why Hashem has to bring so many miracles? So next week you have another very big miracle.
Before he gives the Torah, he's showing all these miracles.
That's right.
Once he gave us the Torah, then he didn't.
So for Hashem to give us the Torah and to make sure Jews will keep the Torah, Hashem has to show His utmost power. Well, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I say when I tell you to do this or not to do this. It's good for you, right? Because you're going to have 613 restrictions or positive commandments. Do this, don't do this. Do this, don't do this. Who said they're going to listen to me? I have to bring out the emunah so much in them that they say, oh, God is the king. He knows what he's doing. He says, keep Shabbat, I keep Shabbat. Keep kosher, I keep kosher. Don't say Lashon, don't say Lashon. Be honest in business, I will be honest in business. So that's why we have so many miracles in this parasha to get ready for next week's parasha, for next week's miracle. Before you have Torah, you have to have something else too. There's a very famous Mishnah in Avot. What do you have to have before Torah? Okay, Emunah is obviously part of the whole thing. But hey, what do we need to have before having Torah? There's a very famous Mishnah in Avot. It says, if there's no this, there's no Torah. There's a very famous. It says, "En kemach en Torah." If there's no bread, there's no Torah. You have to have food, right? En kemach en Torah. So Hashem said, I have to first provide the food before I tell them to keep my Torah. They need to have parnasa. If there's no parnasa, there's no Torah. So Hashem had to provide water and bread. This is the most basic necessities for everybody. Peace of mind. I'm going to have something to drink. En kemach en Torah is a Mishnah in Avot. Pirkei Avot, it says, En kemach en Torah. En Torah, en kemach. This is Parsha talks about the man. Next Parsha talks about the Torah. So So man was a miraculous parnasa to show that, okay, now I'm giving you Torah. I'll give you the parnasa. But even when you work, don't forget, I'll provide parnasa. Uh, so it means that you don't have to break any laws of Torah to make parnasa. Hashem provide parnasa regardless. Maybe not what you want, maybe Hashem doesn't, see necessary for a person to make 5 million a year. Maybe that's too much for him. But when a person, but before Hashem gave the Torah, He showed I can provide parnasa, man, and water. What else? And man with the Torah. So we need.
I'm sorry. How do you? What's the symbolism of the man and parnasa? Man is more for like livelihood to be staying alive.
What do you do with parnasa?
To buy, yeah, but the parnasa you make for your. It's not. That's part of it.
Okay, but that's the most necessity. If you don't have bread to eat, then you got a big problem. You have to have food, right? Sustenance. We always pray for parnasa. Hashem, you open your hands and you make people full. Eating. They can eat, they can drink. Obviously, I need I need a house to live in too. I need I need a bed to. But parnasa is something you need every day. Food you need substance every single day, right? And Hashem provides. So Hashem had to provide first with a man to show I provide you, right? So now, obviously, when they went to Israel, they had to work. So it wasn't like months coming by your doorstep, just pick up the food. But still, you remember Hashem brings parnasa, which means it's like this. If the normal time of working from is 9 to 5, you should trust Hashem that Hashem will send you what you need from 9 to 5. Someone says, I can't go to my home, I can't, I have to work from 9 to 9 or 9 to 11. There's something, missing over here. Why? Because Hashem wants you to live a normal life, Yeah, at some point, you have to say, enough. I can move on. I have to attend to my family, right? If there's a deed that I have to swear, Hashem said, don't swear. I said, I'll lose if I don't swear.
I mean that as long as you put the time for Torah, the Hashem will provide you parnasa.
That's for sure true. There's one. Gemara says, have you seen a lion work or this animal do anything? And Hashem sends them parnasa. So what we are worse than animals. Hashem will send us parnasa too. So first of all, another point to understand that because Hashem wanted to bring down the Torah, He had to bring man. Why? Because He didn't want people to go work and according to learn. It would be
physically okay.
I mean, yeah, for sure. The man was a spiritual bread, man was only a physical bread, but also, the first generation is very hard. You have to change their mindset 100%. Right? The first generation is very, very hard. So Hashem says, if I make them work, then I want them to have 9 to 9 learning, not 9 to 5 working and 3 hours learning. Half an hour here, half an hour there. I wanted to really learn the whole time with Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen, Nadav Avihu, Elazar Tamar. Everybody was teaching Torah at the time. The mindset has to change. So now that goes back to our first point. The first point was that why did Pasuk say Kikor is close, it's very near. Hashem didn't want to go straight from Egypt to Israel because it's very near. Rabbi David says that means near physically, is near, from as far as being ready. It's too soon to go to Israel. Jews don't appreciate Hashem yet. If I take them out of Egypt, even they saw 10 Makot and take them to Israel, everything happened. So Hashem, thank you. They said that even after seeing so many miracles. So he says, it's very hard for us to understand why didn't Jews believe in Hashem already? We believe in Hashem. They didn't believe it. So we don't understand their mentality. for people who for 200 years live in Egypt,
It's a long
being
time for them
workers,
to get over their
the slavery mentality, and believing Torah and mitzvot. You know, even if nowadays someone who's not religious at all and becomes religious and can believe everything easier, that's because his parents had it in their DNA, grandparents, the community already does it, right? But for someone people who didn't experience it, didn't live it, and now they have to change, Hashem says it's too close, not just physically, mentally it's too close, timely is too near. They have to go through. They have to go through the process. They have to go through the Yam Suf and see the miracles of Yam Suf. They have to go through man and water. See how I give man, how I give water. See how I'm going to win the Amalek. Amalek was a very powerful nation at the time. I'm going to, how are they going to win? Look at the Matan Torah and every miracle that happened later on in the desert. Hashem had to build up the Jewish mind to believe that we can do it. We can go to Israel. Hashem will sustain us. So he says that. So he says that their emunah, they were not a complete ma'amin to see more miracles. He says, let me give you another example. It says in Hanukkah, we had a couple of miracles. One is winning the war, right? 5 people, 10 people fought against thousands of army and they won. Isn't that a big miracle? But what do we celebrate? We celebrate a jar of oil lasting for 8 days. Why we don't celebrate winning the war? We only say in the tefillah, but there's no celebration. That's also a miracle. We say, but unfortunately, people don't see that as a miracle. Okay, they know better. They blindfolded the enemy. They killed them in a way they couldn't see. They were from the back and they killed them. But the miracle of oil, nobody can argue. Hashem didn't have to bring the miracle of oil. That war was good enough of miracle. But you know why he didn't do it? Because people would say, there's no miracle. Can you see another miracle? Look at on days, the 12-day war. Was that a miracle? Was not miracle? June, Israel and Iran. We say, because of the fighter jet, because of America, CIA, Mossad, all the agents, was no miracle. Jews are smart. They know how to win a war. They could lose a lot too. That was it. But because we don't have an oil miracle, we don't associate that with the big miracle. It was a huge miracle. It was a very huge miracle. I think even the Prime Minister said, we had great pilots, had great, intelligence, but he said that the tradition, it said in Hebrew, tradition of the Jewish people that Hashem, Ezrat Hashem. A lot of people in that room didn't believe in that part, unfortunately. The right wings do, the left wings don't. But he said, I believe that, as Jews, we believe in Ezrat Hashem. There's a help from God. There's the hand of God there, that things worked perfectly. That 12-day war, Baruch Hashem, was a very big miracle. So he says that the Hashmonaim war, nobody said it's a miracle, but the oil said. And that's why sometimes Hashem has to bring a different miracle to give you emunah that everything is a miracle. Right? So as the Jews left Egypt, they were like, so 50-50. Hashem is in charge, not in charge. Maybe here could do it, but cannot do it. Maybe the 7 nations of Israel can. They didn't have 100. They might have started up a whole, breakaway from Moshe and said, we want to go back to Egypt. We don't want to deal with this. Who said that? Hashem. Pharaoh was 1 king, but now you're talking about 7 kings. Maybe Hashem cannot do 7 kings, right? It's like one Arab country can win, but the whole Gulf countries, they cannot win. But Hashem is winning, doesn't care, 1 nation, 2 nations, 200 nations. For Hashem is that. So Hashem had to build up that emunah within the Jews. So the process of detour is all based on emunah process. If you look at, we say Hashem told them to go back to Egypt. Jews said, Hashem, what are you talking about? Going back now? She said, see what I'm going to do. I want the Egyptians to actually run after you. I want to come out of the country. And then obviously going through the ocean, that also was a big emunah. How can you trust, can you jump into the sea and say Hashem will keep it open? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe something happens to me. How can I take my wife, my kids, my family, 2 million people? Who says it's going to last for so long? It's all emunah after emunah. Everything that we see in this parasha. That's why in Al Yashir, we say Vayaminu b'Hashem u'Moshe avdo. The first time it's also that Jews actually believe in Hashem. Up to now, there's no real emunah. Wishy-washy, still 50-50, right? But here was 100% emunah. There's an interesting pasuk. In Al Yashir, we say every day, Ozi v'zibradiyah v'ahili lishu'ah ve'eli v'anvehu le'aviv v'ramamenhu. This is Hashem, this is my Hashem. My strength is Hashem. It says, my praise is Hashem. And I beautify him. Yeah, I've shared this before. What does that mean? I beautify Hashem. So one is, how do you beautify God? How do you beautify God? How do you make him look good? The person is supposed to say praise of Hashem to everybody. When you're successful, right? Don't put it on yourself, put it on Hashem. Say, Baruch Hashem, Hashem has helped me be successful. You make something that nobody can make. You're very smart in certain things. Don't say, see how smart I am, I do this, I do that, nobody could do it, I got it done. Say, God did it. That's one way of beautifying Hashem. You make Hashem be nice in front of the world. Gemara says, hey, what do we learn from Ze Eli V'Anvehu? Ze Keli V'Anvehu. This is my God and I make him beautiful. How do we accomplish that mitzvah? Huh? Gemara says, when you make a mitzvah, make it the most beautiful way possible. Don't do it, not nice way. For example, you buy a sisit, a talit, buy a nice one. You buy etrog, buy a nice one. You buy tefillin, get a good one. Mehudar, extra kosher. Shabbat table, right? When a person has a party, he gets a restaurant, a catering, the whole design, everything. My friends come. I want to make sure that I present my wedding or my event. But Friday night, Shabbat, something eat and go. Make Kiddush. No, make Shabbat is the mitzvah, right? Make Hashem's mitzvah look nice. That's how we beautify Hashem. You're doing it. It's not Allah b'mitzvot. When you do a mitzvah, you make a sukkah, make a nice sukkah, right? A person should do his mitzvot, in a very dignified manner. That's how we keep Hashem beautiful. That means we say what Hashem did for us is, we are so happy that doing the mitzvah. That's why I keep this mitzvah. Okay, so maybe one of the last points of today's Devar Torah. It talks about sister of Aharon. So Torah says Miriam HaNeviah, Achot Aharon. Miriam the Neviah was sister of Aharon. After Al Yashir, Torah says, Torah میفرماید که میریام هم خانوما رو جمع کرد، رفتن با هم دیگه شعر خوندن. By the way, it's very important وقتی که هشم معجزه میکنه آدم شیرا بخونه، آدم باید جشن بگیره. Hashem does a big miracle for you. You have to celebrate it. Right? That's why in Bikat Gomel they make a هداء سعودت هداء. People give سعودت هداء یعنی سعودای تشکر میدن. مردم جمع میکنن با هم دیگه شعرها میخونن براخا میگن. Right? واقعا از هشم تشکر کرده باشن برای اون معجزه‌ای که براشون کرده. So مشابهنو اهرون با تمام مردای سل کردن. Obviously خانم‌ها که قاطی نبودن. میریام هم برای خانوما کرد. آزرشی توی پارشاست، بله. آخرش میگه میریام هم دخترها رو برد، خانوما رو برد بیرون و با هم دیگه میرقصیدن و توپی و مخلوط با اینا توپی کنم تبل و چی بود اینا عربونه و گیتار و اینا با هم دیگه جشن گرفته بودن. So question is که چرا تورا میگه اخوت اهرون، میریام خواهر اهرون، خواهر موشه هم بود، چون موشه که معروفتر از اهرونه، چرا اسم اهرون فقط میاری؟ سراشی میگه به خاطر اینکه برادر بزرگتر بود و نمبر 2 تمام قبل از اینکه موشه ربینو به دنیا بیاد right اوریدی خواهر هارون بود، یعنی هارون نفر اول بود که این خواهرش شد، بعد خواهر هارون، بعد خواهر موشه شد. نمبر 2 به خاطر اینکه راشی میگه بعدها که میریام سرعت گرفت برای مریضی اینو مسورا شد، کی براش خیلی تفیلا خوند، کی خیلی ناراحتی که اهرام بود، موشه پلیز ببخشش، این لاشانه رو گفته ببخشش کسی به نفر دیگه خودشو اینو جانفشانی میکنه اون بیشتر کردیت میگیره. نمبر 3 دست سکن انسر راشید. نمبر 3 راومن و موشه مینز میفرماید چی هفتارایی داریم تا هفتای پارشه بالاغ باشه، میگه که خداوند تو میگه که من شما از مصر بردم بیرون و 3 تا نبی براتون فرستادم، موشه رو فرستادم، اهرون و میریام، 3 تا خانواده 3 تا نبی داشته تو خونهشون، هم بریم 3 تا بچه‌هاشون نبی شده. اونجا ترجمه میگه، بعد ترجمه میاریم بیرون نشون بدم، ترجمه میگه که خب موشه که تورا یاد میداد، موشه روش شوا بود، فقط که تورا هر کسی سال حلاخا داشت پیش موشه رب بود. اهرون چی کار میکرد؟ He was a peacemaker. شالوم می آورد. اینا با هم دعوا داشتن، زن و شوهر با هم دعوا داشتن، دو شریک با هم دعوا، همه پیش اهرون بودن. رایت. زن و شوهر با هم دعواشون میشد. پیش اهرون بودن. میریام چی کار میکرد؟ کار میریام چی بود تو این 40 سال؟ بخواد چی کار میکرد؟ کاری که اهرون میکرد برای آقایون، میریام که برای خانوم ها. رایت. موشه تو رو یاد میده. چطوری برای تو رو یاد میده؟ ما برام کن تو چیه؟ اهرون گفت what's your problem in your life? What's bothering you? کسی میاد تو یاد بگیره یه something bothering him in his life. یه دعوا داره، یه پرناسش پرابلم داره، یه مشکلی داره. رایت. اهرون گفت که چطور؟ گفتم من پرناسا دارم. من که کوینگادرم، من که میرم اونجا دعا میکنم که پرناسا بده. خب خوشحال پرناسش خوب میشه که بیا تو یاد بگیر. مشابه صبح کلاس پارشا داره، کلاس حلقه داره، کلاس گفاره داره، میرفت. گفتم مثلا من جون اینو فقط مریضه. خب من وقتی میرم قربانی میارم برات مریضی دعا میکنم که تو حالش خوب بشه، بچه‌ت حالش خوب بشه. حالش خوب شد، دغدغه نداشته مغزش، میرفت تو یاد میگرفت. اینجوری رایت با لاوی که نشون میداد به مردم، اوه به تبریوت و مقربان تورات بیشتر میفرماید که اهرون کوهن مردم رو دوست داشت و اینجوری به تورا نزدیک شد. چجوری تورا نزدیک کرد؟ نقش اهرون این بود که فقط بیاد تو کلاس مشرب بنو، شاید اصلا کلاس میداد. کی میوردش؟ اهرون مارکتینگ بوده. چجوری مارکتینگ میکرده؟ شوینگ لاو. اونجا ترجمه میگه که اینو گمارا گفته میشنه داشته میکنه، بیام چیزی نمیگه. ترجمه یوناتان روی ناوی کجاست؟ میخوای الان ناوی که ناوی است که این چه هفتارای پارشه بالاک. ناوی میگه میریام این کارو میکرد برای خانم ها. هر کی ناراحت داشت یه نفر میخواست یه نفر باش صحبت کنه، گوش شنونده داشته باشه، پرابلم نیست. پیش کی میرفت؟ میریام میرفت. رایت. میریام هم اینا رو باشه خوشوبش میکرد، براشون برنامه میگرفت. اینجا میبینید تو پارشه هفته براشون شعر میزد، براشون سرود میخوند که اینا رو خوشحال کنه. اینو تو یاد میگفتم، شعرشو برو تو یاد بگیری. اینا تو میکنن انقدر خوشحال، انقدر آدمای خوبی هستن. I want to do the same thing. So So, از اینجا چی یاد میگیریم؟ که نقش میریام مثل نقش اهرون بود. نقششون با موشه خیلی فرق داشت. خاطر همین تو تورا گفته اخواد اهرون، تو خواهر اهرون خواهر موشه. موشه اصلا یه لول دیگه بود. موشه دنیا خودشو داشت. موشه فقط تورا دادن بود. obviously کسی با هاشم صحبت میکنه this is all his life is all about Torah and this what. خب کی اینا رو بیاره تو؟ کی مارکتینگ بکنه؟ اهرون و میریام. و that's the way. You know, we want to recruit people, we want to bring more people to shul. It can't be only بعد تورا یاد بگیر بعد یاد بگیر بعد you have to show them love. I tell you, you know, دختر من تو اسرائیله. So دیشب به من زنگ زد، من که was so tired, was falling apart. Tehila, I'm saying the Torah you told me. I know در روستش من زنگ زد، من در Torah هفته بگم. Can I share the Torah with me or not? I was trying to look up my own Torah from before, so I shared a few and said, you know, this is also a nice one. گفت وقتی معلمون گفتم اینو مثلا بیشتر دوستش کنم، اینو بگو درباره میریام و اهرون. I'm going to share that. So دیشب من زنگ زد، 11 شب بود. She called me every Friday to get bracha شب شبات خونه نیست، شب جمعه زن میگیره. گفتم thank you so much. گفتم you know, I owe you also I appreciate what you asked me. What? گفتم I was at a meeting this week. A very good friend of mine, our campaign. So I asked him for a donation. He had told me he can't do it yet. He didn't say yes yet. So I had to meet with him. So I went to his office. I was starting on posting. میشه در طور من بگیم ولی تو آفیس ما. So I خماش فهم بید منم در طور تو میگم. خاطر and I opened this and I said, you know, اهرون چه کار کرد؟ موشه چه کار کرد؟ Just, you know, maybe 5-7 minutes I said over this the Torah to her. And then he goes to me, wow, so that's why بچه‌ها میان چیزای شما ایونت‌های شما, because he showed a lot of love. Because always I was wondering, من خب بچه‌ها برن دیگه, there has to be not only the religious part, there has to be some elevation. باید خوشحال باشن که بخوام برن. And I follow you, I see what you do. بچه‌ها میشه خوشحالم ایونت‌های شما. There's something there. Baruch Hashem. End of the meeting, he accepted my so I told Taylor, I owe that to you. If I hadn't prepared that part because of you, I don't know, on the spot said the Shamis بود, I think. I'm so bad کردیم. So I didn't know what to say. So he asked me to, you know, for the Torah, I prepared for you, and you know, I got the chesed back to myself. So Baruch Hashem. So this is very important. Adam میخواد دیگران رو بیاره too, you know. We talk about giving money, giving this, giving that. I think giving love is most important than giving care. طبعا که من care میکنه باش خیلی مهمتره تا که شاید $50,000 پول بدی. He cares for me, he likes me, he genuinely he wants, you know, my good. So بذار هاشم اهرون و میریام باشه که میتونیم سراغ به تورا نزدیک بکنیم. شبات شلام.
خیلی ممنون.